2025 AP Coach of the Year is Mike Verba. Mike Verba is busy preparing for the Super Bowl.
Zane,
Yay! Boys and girls, it's your good pal Tuki. Welcome to the Who Are These Broadcasters Super Bowl halftime show with Eric Zane, Christian Bladt, who? And special guest, Dennis Miller. Yay!
Who are these Super Bowls? We ask, who are these Super Bowls? Carl is the coach, Christian is the quarterback, Eric is the wide receiver. But Cardiff Electric will always be MVP.
That's right, bitches. MVP. Most voluptuous potato. Go Eagles.
Yes, welcome to the third annual Who Are These Broadcasters Super Bowl halftime special. And Cardiff Electric, thank you. Tuki, thank you. We're going to see more from Tuki. And I guess Cardiff was just uninformed and he thought the Eagles were in the Super Bowl, and there's no way that that's from last year. Anyway, we're so excited to be here with all of you once again. It has already been the most star-studded affair we've ever had on Super Bowl Sunday. Not only has there been Tuki and Cardiff Electric, momentarily, my co-host Eric Zane and I are going to be joined by the one and only Mr. Dennis Miller, as many of you remember, one-time host of Monday Night Football, and can't wait to get a chance to talk to him. But if it's Who Are These Broadcasters, as always, I am joined by my right-hand man, my co-host, the one and only Mr. Eric Zane. EZ, how are you today? Great to see you.
Hut. That's right. Football day.
Yes, it is the biggest football day that I think anybody expected. And, you know, listen, this first half, I don't even think I want to talk about it. Let's just say it's been crazy, right, EZ?
I gotta be honest with you. Out of all the football games that I've ever seen, this part that we're on,
Yeah, this first half of it, sure.
I can't even believe what we've seen. Some of it I predicted, and some of it I didn't.
There's a lot of it that I think none of us would have predicted. And one of the things that everybody can do is to make sure to head to hackamania.com for more of this scintillating banter between myself and Eric Zane. You can use promo code BEARS. Not only will you save 10%, you might get to see Eric Zane there at Hackamania, April 10th through the 12th in Las Vegas, Nevada. EZ, how excited are you for the notion of getting to maybe get to go to Hackamania?
Well, I would personally like to announce it at Hackmania that I, Eric Zane, have a weird way that I like to meet people, whether it's listeners and stuff. Just walk up to me and try to either pull my shirt up or pull my trousers down.
Either one, but not both at the same time, right? It's an either-or thing.
Yeah, because if you did it at the same time, you would need to have 8 arms, and I don't think anybody does. We have good chemistry on this show.
This is why this is the show that has really taken over the Dabbleverse, and people love Who Are These Broadcasters. And again, when we have a star-studded affair like this, Eric, I want to make sure that we lean on the stars. I did try to ask my friend Tuki for some Super Bowl picks for the second half. What should I spend my money on in the second half? So let's see what Tuki has to say about this.
Boys and girls, are you ready for Tuki's picks for the second half of the game?
Of course we are.
Well, Tuki predicts that one of the white quarterbacks will throw it to a big black guy who will eventually run to the other end of the field and score more points. Yay! If there's one word of advice that Tuki's dad ever gave to him that he's always remembered, he said, Tuki, never bet on a black quarterback. And we don't have to worry about that today. Yay! Take the over.
Well, Tuki's making a lot of sense. You know, some people might take issue with some of those comments, but a lot of those sound like things I've heard Eric Zane say before. Wouldn't you say so, Eric Zane?
Oh, well, I'm not a nice person, Eric Zane. Quote
That's
me.
true.
I've said horrible things about white players and illegal players.
Right. So I guess there's a big difference. All right. Well, I think that a number of you out there might feel like we didn't get the answers from Tuki that we were hoping for. So I want to bring in a football expert to talk about what we should do in terms of the second half.
Blattcast with $1 says, Aaron, which team do you think will have a harder time in the second half of the Super Bowl? How hard will it be to compete after a Bad Bunny halftime show?
Good question.
Also, I should probably take the under, right?
These are all good questions.
I'm not a big gambler.
No.
I'll play a little craps, but it's not legal in Minnesota, so I don't really get a chance very often. I don't mind blackjack. I don't go out of my way to play it. I probably haven't gambled for, it's been over a year, maybe 2 years.
One of the only times I think you'll hear him say, I don't mind just followed by
Yeah.
Emmy.
Been gambled 2-3 years. Nothing against it. Well, I shouldn't say nothing against it. It's not good for people, but
Hey, it's Super Bowl Sunday, Aaron. This is the best time to gamble. What were you going to say, Eric?
Well, he did play a little craps in prison when he had his crap pushed in.
I think if ever there were a comment that would dictate hitting the like button, it was that. And keep in mind, this live stream, we will read all of your super chats as they come in. Except I'm actually going to save them for the end of the show. I'll pop in after the interview. So start super chatting early. Start super chatting often. But let's get back to Aaron.
at the same time, I'm going to say. God damn, you know what? I think that Patriots defense is so goddamn good.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Eagles or the
so.
Seahawks are no slouch either.
Everybody
I
can
feel like
see
I
who's
want
in
to
this
take
game.
the Seahawks, but I feel like I'm just doing that because I'm rooting for Sam Darnold. He's I think the emotional favorite. But I think I think the Patriots are going to win. I do.
Hot take from Steel Toe. You guys heard it here first.
I think
second.
Darnold
Said it on
might
this
still
show.
have that big game curse on him a little bit. I'm going to say the Patriots will win. I would say take the under on the Super Bowl this year. Bad Bunny halftime show. I don't get it, but I'm old.
So am I, and that's why we're here because I Eric Zane and I, we have as much interest in a Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show as we do a Kid Rock halftime show. What did you take away from Aaron's contribution just there, Eric?
Well, I have to say that Eric Zane, I may not like Bad Bunny's music personally, but I do find him sexually attractive when he dresses up as a woman. That's what Eric Zane am into. Eric Zane.
I've heard Eric Zane say that a number of times. I've also heard Eric Zane tell people to hit the like button. But also, again, if you want to support the show, please send super chats. I will read them at the end. I'll bring them up on the screen as we go, but I promise to read all of them. And then the way that this show works, that the highest dollar amount will be my sign off, and I will read anything, as I've proven before. So you could try to make me look very foolish in front of my wife, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, my niece, my in-laws. They're all downstairs, probably glued to this right now. So you might be able to make me say something just, really terrible. Speaking of really terrible, I feel like, Eric, we're not getting the answers we want about the second half. So I thought, let's turn to people who really know sports and really know gambling. Somebody who I think might have put 10 large on this game.
Let's see the Bladcast. Duke, it will be hard for both Super Bowl teams to compete after a Bad Bunny halftime show and for recreational purposes. Should I take the element?
What do you think the odds are, Eric, that I'm going to get an answer to any part of my question?
Well, I think that the interesting part of this image is the color scheme, and that his hair matches the color of your chat and his face matches the color of Kiki's shirt. But I would advise people, Eric Zane, I'm a notoriously stupid person. I would say take the opposite of what Stuttering John or myself, Eric Zane, says.
Okay, so I asked him the question. You heard him read it. Did not read it correctly, but let's see what he suggests we do.
Oh, my God. First of all,
I heard you talking about this. I don't understand why people are so incensed about Bad Bunny. Yeah.
Hot take, Kiki.
First of all, I'm not. Is he a rap guy? I don't even know.
I would probably know a hit of his, but I don't really listen to his music either. But
What kind of proud Puerto Rican is John Melendez that he doesn't even know Bad Bunny? I'll take my answer off the
he's
air.
extremely popular. God forbid they have like an extremely popular artist who dated Kendall Jenner during the halftime show.
Do you think that dating a member of the Kardashian or Jenner clan should be a prerequisite for a Super Bowl halftime show, Eric? There would be no shortage of artists that would fit that bill, right?
Well, I'm Eric Zane, so I would say Kendall Jenner, the younger, the hotter she was. That's what I'm into, and I will admit and check my hard drive at Hackmania 3. Once you super chat the stuff, the Christian can then forward on to the police.
Yes, exactly. But use promo code BEARS when you crack open the hard drive.
Really care about is Green Day is also performing. So
Are
I'm
they?
looking yes. Yeah, I think they're opening, not like they're doing a pre-show.
Yeah. This might not be the most accurate piece of information that, Keanu Thompson might not be the most informed person. That might surprise you, Eric Zane.
Yeah, and Stuttering John looks like he should be in a band called Green Hair.
I don't usually hit the bell on this show, but sometimes it's worth it. And you might as well hit the like button while you're at it. Now, people who follow John Melendez closely, Green Day came up. So if you pick the over-under of less than a minute before he takes it to this, you are a big winner.
So
Oh, I
I'm
thought
really
Bruce
excited about that.
Springsteen is.
Could you imagine if Bruce Springsteen was performing at the Super Bowl? Do you think he might do his great song about Minnesota, Eric Zane?
Well, I think that Stuttering John believes that Bruce Springsteen would be doing the Super Bowl because he hasn't written a joke since 2008.
That sounds about right. By the way, there was never any rumor that Bruce Springsteen would be anywhere near this. But sure, John.
Green Day is what I've heard. So that's my favorite.
Here it comes.
Do you know who opened for Green Day?
Do you know, Eric Zane, who opened for Green Day? Do you know where John's taking this?
I'm going to go ahead and guess the Beatles.
Oh, okay. That's a good guess. Let's see what happens.
When I saw Green Day, My Chemical Romance did.
Hmm.
Who do you think? Who did you see Green Day? Did you open for Green Day?
Yes.
That would be an odd choice. Yeah.
Oh, if you guessed John would say, John, you were correct. Obviously, John opened, and I'm sure there were only 2 bands on that bill, and there weren't 3 bands between John and Green Day. But I'm sure you got to hang out with them.
Did you?
Right?
Yes.
Did you?
At Jones Beach.
Oh, at Jones
Stop.
Beach. This
Yes.
is amazing, John.
You did?
Yes.
Oh my God! Green Day
In
is
fact,
my
we-
all-time
In
favorite.
fact, we shot hoops with them in the back of Jones Beach.
So he's talking about playing basketball, which, I know in your part of Minnesota, shooting hoops might mean something different, Eric. But he's talking about shooting hoops. And if that sounds like even in, 30 years ago, the idea of John playing basketball with Green Day, that sounds crazy. Don't worry, it is.
They are literally my favorite band of all time. That is
Yeah, I
so
know.
cool.
121 guns. I can't do it.
No, you can't do it. But man, you can put those bush lights away like it's nobody's business.
Holy shit, John. That is so cool.
Yeah.
You play basketball with Billy Joe Armstrong, Mike
Well-
Dirnt, and Trey Cool?
Yeah, apparently I watched. Well, I didn't play, but my bass player's nephew was playing with him, and we were all out there hanging.
So great story, John, about the time you played basketball with Green Day. Your bass player's nephew played basketball while you drank a bunch of beer. Does this add up to stories you've heard from John Melendez before, Eric?
Yeah, Keanu said she saw the band My Chemical Romance open for Green Day, but it looks like Stuttering John's in a band called My Chemical Addiction.
We should definitely hit the like button, and that's worthy of a super chat. We're going to get to the great Dennis Miller. Eric Zane and myself spoke to him a few days ago. We will have that take you through halftime. But I did try to get a little bit more information out of our buddy Tuki, because I wanted to know, Tuki, there's competing halftime shows. This one isn't the only one in town. I want to know, do you Tuki have a favorite Bad Bunny song or possibly a favorite Kid Rock song? Let's see what he said.
His favorite Bad Bunny song. I don't know what Bad Bunny is.
Oh, Tuki.
Is that porn star that banged a bunch of dudes
No, that's Bad
in another
Baby.
country and got arrested or something? I don't
God
know
damn
who
it,
Bad
Tuki.
Bunny is. Tuki's old.
Tuki is old, and as old as
Oh,
me.
I do like Kid Rock though. Ball with the ball, the bang a dang, diggy diggy, booga the booga the blah 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 blah. Tell him what your name is. Tell him what your name is. My name is Too. I stink.
No.
Anyway, I
You're
don't
the
know
best,
anything about
Tuki.
music unless it's got horns and ska. Tuki's lost. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Yay!
Tuki did message me that he hoped Real Big Fish would play the Super Bowl halftime show next year. But we should see that. So we'll step aside for a moment after a hysterical comment from my buddy Jackie the Joke Man Martling. And we'll be joined by Dennis Miller momentarily. And don't worry, I will be jumping in after that to read all of your super chats live. And I don't want to brag, but today's my 50th birthday, and my family is waiting for me downstairs. My wife, my 2 kids, my in-laws, my brother and sister-in-law, my niece, they all want me to be downstairs. So it would really be a shame, Eric, if people are super chatting so much that the game starts up again and I'm still reading the super chats. Wouldn't that be terrible, Eric?
It's 50 years old today, so that means we need to get either 50 minor super chats or a couple of big 50s. The longer we keep Christian away from his family, the quicker that will mean that his wife will consider leaving him for me, Eric Zane.
Well, that is something he's had his eye on for a while. Everybody knows that about Easy. Eric Zane, obviously your show, the Eric Zane Show, can be found at Eric Zane Live. Are there any other YouTube channels that you enjoy checking out that you might want to promote?
There's this guy from Ireland, right? A lot of people know about me, Eric, saying my penis it smells. It's pretty much dead skin.
It does not work at all. Yeah, we do know that about Eric Zane. Yeah,
it really is a disgusting piece of flesh. But there's a guy from Ireland called, what's his name? Hugsy or something
No,
like that?
so you're talking about Adam the H-Man Hughesy Hughes. Yes.
That's the guy with the gargantuan penis who accidentally...
That's what I've heard,
he accidentally sent the photograph to Shmuel Buckman instead of Lemmy, which was a experience. He is at I think it's Hughes Entertainment on YouTube.
Okay.
And he is at the Hughesy on Twitter and Instagram, which I think says a lot about me, Eric Zane. And by the way, that came out of the front, not the back.
Right. I think that's really important. We all need to know that. Well, thank you, Easy. Eric Zane and I will be back momentarily. We will indeed be joined by the great Dennis Miller. We'll be talking to him right after this.
What would you call a dwarf halfback? A quarterback.
Yes, welcome back to the Who Are These Broadcasters Super Bowl halftime extravaganza, I think is the right word for it, Eric Zane. Glad that everybody's hanging out with us and happy to welcome to the festivities my friend, the great Dennis Miller. How are you, sir?
Hi, Eric. Hi, Christian. How's life? You good?
We're doing good.
Never better.
I had the under in the first half, so I don't want to talk about it. But
I remember years ago when they always have those interviews with the president, or O'Reilly would interview the president before the show, and he was interviewing Barack Obama, and he said, "What should I ask Obama?" And I said, "You should ask him if at the end of the game the winning team should give enough of their points to the losing team that it's a tie and everybody wins." And he said, "I can't ask him that. He's the president." I said, "Bill, he's talking about socialism all the time. He's talking to Joe the plumber." This is how long ago that was. Saying, "You could kick in a little." I would have loved to have seen him dance around that answer.
Yeah, well, I mean, Obama would talk about how he was a diehard White Sox fan, but just don't ask any follow-up questions, like
you saw Frank Thomas is all pissed off at the Pale Hose, one of my favorite sports teams nicknames ever, the Pale Hose for the White Sox, because they did their Kenny Williams and him, the GM, ended on such horrific terms that they hardly mentioned him in their what is it, Black History Month or something?
Correct. Yes.
So Kenny Williams or the organization under Jerry, I guess, has their final revenge against the Big Hurt.
Yeah, which it shouldn't take too much time out of his day, but if there is somebody who wants to be acknowledged for how great he was, it is actually the Big Hurt. You just have to always talk to him about how great he was.
I didn't know that much about him, Christian. I know he was Great, but I see in the year he won the series that he didn't play the whole year, which must be maddening to a guy like him that they finally won. And I think he was hurt for a great deal of that year. Is that true?
Well,
Or
yeah, he's a big hurt. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
He's got
that was
the name
that
for a
was
reason.
that was the irony that he had the nickname the Big Hurt because he hurt the baseball, but then unfortunately he was hurt more than Griffey for a stretch there. But he is one of those guys that if you said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Frank Thomas," he'd be like, "Hall of Famer Frank Thomas." I'm sorry, yes, of course. So Hall of Famer Dennis Miller. Eric and I were talking beforehand, and he reminded me that the radio show he used to work for, Free Beer and Hot Wings, used the same merch company that we used when we did a radio show on Westwood One. And Eric, tell Dennis what you were told.
Every time we weren't doing enough, a guy by the name of Pyam
remember him.
would perk up and always say, and he spoke with a thick accent, so I'm going to ruin it. He'd say, "You have," and you were the template. Your show was the template for merch, for doing the right thing, because you must do it like Dennis Miller. He's got this and that, and we're like, God damn it. And for years, I kept hearing about how great the merch is.
The merch
for the show. And so to now, and then as soon as I mentioned the name Pyam to Christian, he's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that.
I remember this guy." Now you dealt more with a guy named Eric, Dennis. They were partners in that company.
Christian. Well,
Yeah.
we sold like 4 hats over an 8-year
That's
period.
kind of what I wanted to get to. And I'd be like, "Oh, that's so funny," because I brought some merch. This was a wedding gift from our friend Rob Lorich. This was the Dennis Miller Whitland kit. And our friend Rob Lorich gave us, my wife and I, his and hers Whitland kits, which is great. But this was the coveted item, which might look actually great. So this was the Dennis Miller listening fez.
Oh,
which
fantastic.
I don't even know if you have one of these, Dennis.
Yeah, I have one in my. I do have one. That's the one thing I wanted, because nothing makes me laugh harder than the concept of the listening fez.
Yes. And I have a box of Kwok Brothers t-shirts, which
Right.
I don't think we could play those ads anymore.
No, geez, we'd be strung up.
That's a bygone
That was
era.
great.
That was a Chinese restaurant that was a sponsor of the old show. But
we can't even describe to you,
Nope.
Eric, what the ads were about without
don't want
putting
you to.
ourselves in media prison.
it was a very different era. And someone once sent me something that this was not for the show, but you know about this, of course, the Dennis Miller doll. I believe I have the R-rated one, the one who uses the bad word.
Yeah, there was 2, one that swore and one that swore more. No, one that swore and one that didn't swore. Occasionally I will see those turn up at a flea market or something, and it's just oh, what's that, baby? What is the real? Oh, my wife says she sees them on a resale site called The Real, and they sell for a few drachma a piece.
Well, the next time I see you, I'm going to bring an authenticator with me, have you sign it, and then have it hermetically sealed so that I can try and wet my beak, as they say.
What was Dennis? What did you see in young Christian that led him to the heights that he has now? I mean, you gave him a lot of responsibility as the years went on. He had to have impressed you in some particular way. What stood out to you?
I love that he asked that question and immediately disappears. I'm sure we'll get him right back.
He's one of the funniest people I've ever met. I mean, I'm pretty bloodless about funny. He made me laugh uproariously, and then when you find out he's one of the nicest people you ever meet, and now a great family man, he checked all the boxes for me. Good cat, good hang, made me laugh uproariously, and a good, decent human being.
That's fantastic.
Not so young anymore because I'm 50 now, but
right.
apart from that, all the rest I appreciate.
Geez, Christian, 50 years old. When did I meet you? You were halfway down you were still in your amniotic sac.
Yeah, I still had a tail. It fell off in the second season of the CNBC show, which, speaking of merch, by the way. I was explaining to Eric that the writers on that CNBC show would put me in so many sketches, and I would give it my all, but I was so terrible. You couldn't help but notice that, like, oh, this guy is so earnestly playing my no good teenage son,
Right.
Dak, in like a cheap $5 long hair wig. Yeah.
Right. What was that kid's name? Dak or Zach?
It was Dak. Yeah. Our buddy, a very nice man, Bob Oshak, came up with that character.
Oh, that used to make me laugh. It was, it seems to me that we always do these reductio absurdum things where the byplay is never extrapolative. It's just I'm extrapolative on the front end, and then I send it to you, and you either run out in a huff like Dak or give a prognosis as chimp doctor. Remember, I'd
Oh.
read those things that were like 2 minutes long, dear chimp doctor, and then I'd give a long litany of symptoms that would take, and they were very involved and very accurate. It was like I was Noah Wally walking through the halls of the pit or something, and then you at the end, you as chimp doctor, your cure was. Woohoo. That used to make me laugh. So we've often had an odd. Our repartee is heavily one-sided.
I once vowed that you would never see me do Chimp Doctor on camera. So,
Yeah. Why?
but yeah,
Wow. Wow. I
yeah.
feel
It's like Mickey
privileged.
Mouse taking his head off. You can't see it.
Have you by the way glimpsed the great Dana Gould talk show where he's Professor Zayas?
Oh, yeah, I think you told me about that. So,
It's just him doing a talk show, and he's kind of goofy and once removed and sometimes gormless, but sometimes very insightful as Dana can be. And it's just him dressed up. Nothing makes me laugh harder than him going into sort of Miss Jane Pittman makeup at 4 a.m. to do a streaming show as Dr. Zayas.
So while we're talking halftime at the Super Bowl, I wanted to talk about, you've always told me so many stories about how much fun you had on Monday Night Football. And there's a couple of facts that I remember over the years. And I think the most interesting was the first time you ever attended an NFL game.
Yeah, because Pittsburgh, you couldn't get tickets in Pittsburgh. Maybe, when I was young, I didn't go. And then when it was time that I could buy my own tickets or stuff like that, the Steelers were, the Patriots of yore, they were, in my eyes, the greatest football team ever, and you couldn't get into tickets. It was like Lambeau, where they had to will them to you. And then, to be honest, I always enjoyed watching football games on TV. Pittsburgh is not the warmest climes on the planet, so the idea of schlepping down to the stadium when often an icy field at Three Rivers, I remember it was one of the hardest surfaces. I always thought, once they did that thing where they could televise home games, guess what? It was never a big ticket priority for me to go to a game or any sport event for that matter. I kind of like watching them at home. They weren't big screen TVs then, but they were coming along. And now you'd have to be crazy, I think, to sally forth into the the world at large to watch it when you can watch it and get an amazing experience at home. So I remember standing there and heard that music, da, 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 and I'm thinking, I can't believe I somehow stumbled onto Monday Night Football. I wonder if I should tell Al I've never been to a game before. And I thought, no. That can't help anybody at this point. Just sit on that information.
Speaking of Hall of Famers, obviously you did get to work with the great Al Michaels, and you've told plenty of times, plenty of stories about the great times. You and Albino, I believe, is he's known by you. But there was a quirk about the fact that he was adamant about keeping his expense reports in line, right, Dennis?
Yeah, I mean, Al's the greatest announcer ever in my book. And by the way, I see in that group picture there Melissa Stark, and I have to say, good for Melissa because she and I, Eric to some degree, but he had the imprimatur of being one of the greatest running backs ever. Fauci and being a humongous were sort of bulletproof because they were accomplished at it. But we faced a lot of, be it justified or not, I'm not whining, but I remember Melissa being under the gun too when we first started it. And for her to rise from the ashes, and she's so great at it now. I find her so endearing, and at the draft, in a sea of insincerity, at least she has a moment here and there where you can see she's thinking in the moment and laughing. So I have to say that Melissa, I'm really fond of her and proud of her that she has remounted and is now, is it Monday night or Sunday? She's back on one of the night football casts, so I'm happy for her. I remember Al, they used to ask him to keep receipts, and I said, Al, you're the greatest announcer ever. I don't need to see you peeling a tissue paper receipt off the Domino's box, for God's sakes. Forget it. Let me, you know what I mean? So I took my whole first year's salary, maybe my second year's, and bought a timeshare in a jet because I wanted to get home on Tuesday mornings to take my kids to school. So I think jet buying a partial share of a jet has gotten incrementally more expensive in the interim. At that point, listen, it wasn't a bargain, but you could still do it. And I just bought a bunch of hours in a jet. And I said, I'll just kick your money in, give me your ticket money, and you can fly back with me. Then all of a sudden, I noticed that the NBC must not, or I don't even know who we work for. I get
ABC,
confused. ABC, was it?
Yeah.
I noticed that they, some of these major media companies became taken over by capital cities and, widget companies and Florsheim shoes, it seems to me. And I noticed that Olmeyer would fly with me occasionally. I'd think, for God's sakes, the executive producer is giving me his $1,500 ticket to fly back from me. But we used to have a great time on the plane. I remember at the end of the game, Albina was a Johnny Walker Red guy, and I was Stoley on the rocks. And we'd be out of that booth and tossing a drink because neither one of us loved to fly all that much. And there'd be a golf cart outside. It would take you down to a police car who would take you to the airport. We'd be on the plane like after we wrapped in around 30 minutes getting blasted already.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, it's Phil Rizzuto on the George Washington Bridge after the seventh inning stretch.
Scooter, beautiful stuff. Used to love that where he'd call in, and occasionally they'd have one of those games for the ages, Christian, and Scooter'd be out. I'm out here in Fort Lee.
So you mentioned Don Olmeyer, and obviously you were there on Monday Night Football to be Dennis Miller because that's all you can be. And I remember you telling me about one of the perhaps more obscure references that you referenced as somebody was getting all bound up with a lot of athletic tape, I think, and Olmeyer came to your defense.
Well, I remember that they were wrapping somebody's, and I said, I haven't seen that much fabric used. And by the way, I used to call him Venus Humongous, all hail Venus Humongous. And then the note on Monday from the league office was, Paul Tagliabue wants to know if you're calling him Penis. And I said, no, Venus. And they said, they can't make it out. They think you're calling him Penis on the air. And I said, well, I can start if that's the... But imagine that's when you're a stranger in a strange land and might not be the ideal fit, that they actually think that you might be on the air calling your broadcast partner Penis Humongous.
Yeah.
That you have to explain, no, it's Venus. Well, what does Venus Humongous mean? I said, I don't know. His name's Al. I started calling him Albino. That morphed into Albinus, and then that made me think of a Roman emperor. So whenever I would see him, I would hit my chest with my fist and go, all hail Venus Humongous. And then I thought, this is my sense of humor, and I don't know that this is the place for it. So after 2 years, when I got whacked, I wasn't quite that surprised by it. But I remember saying when they wrapped the player, I haven't seen this much fabric used since the environmental artist Christo wrapped the Pont Neuf Bridge in Paris. And you have a sneeze button in the booth where you can hit it and cut your voice out to the home viewer. And I remember Al hit it, and he looked at me after that reference. We're on the air, and he goes, what the fuck are you talking about? And then I hear Olmeyer on our headphones from down in the booth saying, no, Al, Christo. Environmental artist, solid reference. That's a solid reference. Okay, boys, 3rd and 6. I'm thinking if they could only hear this weirdness at home.
Oh
By the way, Eric Zane and I have been doing a show together for 3 years, and at no point have you ever called me penis humongous. And I think
am now.
yeah,
I am
thank you.
now. Yes.
Hey, how did you and Eric meet? And are you related to Billy
Blind
Zane?
date. Blind date, and no. Originally the guy who put this whole podcast network together, he wanted to do a show, basically what this show is, and he thought Christian would be good at it. Christian made friends with this guy at about the same time I made friends with him. So he goes, how about you guys do a show? And then here we are.
Yeah, and Eric became friends with this guy Carl because Eric made fun of his radio show on his show, and Eric had a good sense of humor about it, right? Or was it your podcast?
No, Carl made fun
Carl
of
did,
my podcast. Yes. Yeah. He roasts podcasts. That's his niche.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gotten very good at it and quite a tremendous audience. And so he listened to my shitty podcast and he ripped me a new asshole. And then I kind of rolled with it. And now we're pals. And here we are.
And now you're here with me.
Complete acquiescence is a great icebreaker, Zane.
100%.
Absolutely. You mentioned Don Ohlmeyer a couple of times, and he's come up recently because I think you might be the only Saturday Night Live Weekend Update anchor that he liked, because your old castmate Kevin Nealon mentioned that he learned in a Lorne Michaels book why he was fired from SNL. And,
why was that?
There was one of many articles, which probably happened a few times while you were there as well, and it said, Saturday Night Dead, because they're always called that. And one of the reasons they said was Nealon doing Weekend Update. And apparently Ohlmeyer said, he's a bit of a mushmouth, that he was a mushmouth and his delivery is not crisp enough. And Nealon was on a podcast and he's like, I had no idea that that's what happened until I read this Lorne Michaels book. But he was on Another Year and he was like, I was happy to get back to sketches, so it was, as you know, that's a lot of work, but it was perfect because I don't want to kiss the ring too much, but you were great at it, but also you didn't have to worry about being in any dumb sketches, Dennis.
Well, at the beginning, they wanted me to do sketches, but I would always be the fourth lead because there were people who were far more accomplished. Now, you still have to block for the same amount of time. Sorry, is that too close? But I had to lean. You still had to be there for these 2.5 hour blocking things. And literally, I'm the guy putting the napkin under the drink and pushing it at the bar to somebody who's better at it than me. So I used to go around and ask the writers not to put me in if they could avoid it. Sometimes you had to because they were stretched thin. But I didn't want to be in sketches. I always thought of it like the DH. I thought, man, stay back into the tunnel. This is before they had batting machines under the bleachers. Just stay back here with the Elston Howard donut ring, swing it, play a hard ass-kicking rock and roll entrance. And then I used to warm the crowd up too. So it's sort of a perfect amuse-bouche, hopefully literally amuse, to have them see you a little, then not have them see you for around a half an hour to 40 minutes. Then come out with Power Stations, cover a bang of gong, and crazy rubber Statue of Liberty, and come on. And I always thought of myself like Larry Mahan in the rodeo. Like, got 8 minutes here, just to hang on and kick ass, go fast, rat-a-tat-tat, be a smart ass, and then get off and not be seen anywhere else. So it was a business decision. I was never going to be the guy in sketches. I'm a perfunctory sketch performer.
Well, except of course for your masterpiece, Coco, Michu, and LeBay, which I think people can find that online. That's basically that's like retiring when you're at the top. You're like, I'm done with sketches.
I told Carvey, I said, I bet you I can get a really weird sketch on under the guise of being esoteric. And he said, bet. I think we were going for a crab dinner or something. And I made it about 3 French clowns who were seeking water in the outside Lombardy, and they had divining rods.
And you can find it online. People can watch it. I can't share it because of copyright things. Otherwise, we'd take a little look.
I made it so weird, and then had a song, and we each had a sound, and we had funny outfits. And I remember we did one with Paulina Porskova as a princess, and Carvey said, "Well, listen, a lot of things slipped through to get on, but we need a second one to verify this." And we got another one. I can't even remember the details of that one. And then we retired Coco Misu.
One final thing I want to talk to you about, also someone tied to Don Ohlmeyer, is the great Norm Macdonald, who there's a number of pictures I could have found of you and Norm, but you're like bowled over laughing in all of them. And, I do love the level of appreciation and reverence there is for Norm now, even if maybe he wasn't appreciated as well as he could have been in the moment. But what's a particularly fond Norm Macdonald memory for you, Dennis?
Well, he was a genius, and he was not a cat I could get a firm handle on. But I remember I gave him his first job in L.A., other than doing one night comedy things. And I remember Eddie Feldman. Eddie said, he was my head writer at the time. He said, "I saw a comedian who just moved here from Canada, and he did a joke at the Improv that I know you'd love. It was about the homeless. He feels sorry for the homeless guy, but he really feels sorry for the homeless guy's dog, because the dog's thinking, this is the longest fucking walk I have ever been on. Do we eventually go in somewhere? Because I could do this on my own," which made me laugh so hard. So I said, "Well, let me talk to him. Maybe he needs a gig." And I said to Norm, "Listen, I'll put you in a room with Drake Sather, who was another genius, an iconoclastic genius." I said, "You guys don't have to play traditional talk show roles." Remember, they tinfoiled their windows shut and shut their door. And I said, just around 11 o'clock each day, if you could push out 10 jokes under the door, I'll leave you alone. And I remember I telling Norm, I said, "Your jokes are so funny. If they're too funny, I won't use them, because you should keep them. You're going to be great at comedian." And he always, I think that won him in a way where he trusted me, where I said, I said, "Give me doubles and triples. I don't want your home runs. This is just a talk show." So, we grew to like each other. And then his submission, by the way, to get the job, the final submission was, he said, Eddie asked him for a batch of jokes. And he said, "I don't do batches, Dennis," which made me laugh. And I said, "Well, Eddie's the head writer here, and I have to have some modicum of, organization. So if you could do it just to," I said, "the job will be yours, but I'd like Eddie to have his system that we adhere to." So he said, "I'll write one joke and I'll send it in if you like the joke." And the joke was almost an AP wire report of the Dahmer case, which was happening then. And it was really, it was like unedited copy about they removed the spleen and ate it, and all this stuff that was really unnerving. And at the end, here's Norm's joke. All he did was add to the AP Wire story. In his defense, Dahmer said he started it, which is such a crazy, funny joke. Oh, that's that special I did where
The
he
Millennium
came on
Special,
and
yes.
talked about penises. But anyway, we grew to be good friends. But with Norm, you were never. He could see. I didn't know he was sick. I mean, imagine that all those years. A lot of people don't. I'm trying to think. Maybe Gervitz did, our manager, but he was a lovely cat. And I sat behind him once at his son was graduating from a school that my nephew was graduating from. And I got there for the graduation ceremonies, and who sits in front of me, but offset, like a knight's chess move, two up, one over, is Norm with his son, and he doesn't see me. So it's the great position of being the fly on the wall. And I see Norm being so normal and nice and cool with his kid. It's like Fred McMurray. So, when it was finally I tapped him after, I said, nice to see you. You reside on planet Earth too. And that's called for, because he was always such an ethereal creature. But I saw a real glimpse of Norm. He was a lovely man, very Canadian. Met his mom once. She was so sweet. And you could tell she had an impish sense of humor. But I do remember one of my last interactions with Norm is I was in Bhutan in the Himalayas, and I must have been up at 14,000 feet. I couldn't sleep. You're all dried out. And I looked up at the night sky, and the guy said he had a satellite phone or something where you could text people. I said, who can I text from Bhutan at this time? I didn't even know what time it was in the States. And I text Norm. I said, Norm, I had to pick you. You're my most, you're my most existential friend. I'm in Bhutan. I'm at 14,000. I lay the whole thing out for you. I could hear yaks in the background. It's the middle of the night. I can't sleep. And like within 17 seconds, Norm gets back to me. He's like, the Sherpa must be sacrificed in the saddle of the mountain above the lair at dawn, in an offering to the yak god. I still have it. It's so funny to me that not only did he roll with it or say, wow, Bhutan, nothing, no reaction whatsoever that I'm in the Himalayas. It's just immediately he's got me in some ritual sacrifice to appease the mountain god.
Did you share it with anybody when you were there?
No, I don't. The people I was with wouldn't understand Norm. Norm was he was one of those friendships that was so precious in a way that you didn't want to beat on that drum, like because you thought, like when Norm died, I didn't want to. There's some cats who are so special that you shouldn't share. Yeah, to me, when you share things on social media and all that, that's not an homage. That's like almost a chest beat for you. He was a good cat. I don't think he would have dug that. I know he tweeted a lot in that, but it was usually about golf tournaments or mindless stuff.
Yeah.
But my interaction with him, and I don't want to say it was daily. By no means. I'd go months without talking to him, but I did feel a closeness with him, and he was he's one of the most unique comedy minds that this world has ever had.
I definitely agree, and it was a pleasure and a privilege that when we first started the radio show, we'd have him on every week. So he would want to do like a pre-interview, which, by the way, had nothing to do with what he'd actually talk about. I think he was just like, "Oh yeah, I'll talk to somebody on the phone." But
yeah, remember he had that puppet he would come on, who was a Holocaust denier.
Yeah. So on the radio, Eric, he would do some ventriloquist dummies, and he had a few of them. And he said that there's one that's particularly unpopular. One of their names was Old Jackson, but I don't think he was the Holocaust. But he's like, oh yeah, no, nobody wants to hear from whatever this guy was, Jimmy. He's a Holocaust denier. And so it was enough to want to do a ventriloquist dummy on the radio. Dennis, we can't thank you enough, and what a perfect time to leave you with this image that I was able to dig up. You can go ahead and find it's Coco with a K, Mishu and LeBay. You can find it on YouTube. Saturday Night Live.
Look at Kevin Nealon. His name was LeBay, and he never said anything in these except occasionally he'd go.
Easy. Is there any final thoughts? Anything that I talked too much and didn't let you ask, Dennis?
No. I enjoyed listening to you too. I mean, the fact that you guys have this relationship, it's astounding to me, and that I'm just appreciative that Dennis took the time to join us. It's awesome.
Well,
nice to meet you, Eric. And
in 20 years, Eric Zane and I will also be really close, and we'll have a rapport. It's going to take a while.
Beautiful. You're easy to do that with, Christian. How's your babies and your bride? Everything good?
Everybody's doing reasonably well, for Hollywood. My son's 10, my daughter's 8, and they're chock full of activities. And Eric Zane and I will be back in a moment, and I want to let people know that Dennis will be on my personal podcast as well, the Blattcast, talking to a couple of old friends, but we'll be right back right after this, as they say.
So long.
A couple gets in bed. Husband says, tomorrow's the Super Bowl. Why don't we play some fart football? His wife says, "What's that?" He says, "Well, we take turns farting and see who wins." She says, "All right." He said, "Well, I'll go first." He cuts a big fart. He says, "I'm winning 6 points to nothing." He does a little one. He says, "That's the extra. 7-0. Your turn." She says, "All right." He says, 7-6, 76. Go for the extra. Go for the extra. She goes, does a little one. He says, tie score 7-7. My turn. He lifts his leg and he strains and accidentally craps all over the bed. His wife says, "Now what?" He says, "It's halftime. Switch sides."
The great Jackie the Jokester, Jackie the Joke Man Martling. What a delightful chaser after we had more than 30 minutes with the great Dennis Miller here on the Who Are These Broadcasters Super Bowl halftime spectacular. I want to thank my buddy Eric Zane for chatting with Dennis Miller with me. For those of you even remotely curious about the game, it's the third quarter, 7:34 left. The Seahawks are up 12-0. I had the ability to keep this show a little shorter, but after that first half, I was like, you know what? Let's try and have some fun. But I've been here waiting to read each and every one of your super chats. So remember, I am upstairs. It is my 50th birthday today, so we welcome any and all $50 super chats that you want to send. Even now, it's never too late to super chat. My family's downstairs waiting for me. They figured I would be back at the start of the third quarter. They were wrong. And I think that it would be a shame. It'd be a real shame if I keep them waiting any longer with more super chats, especially a couple of those $50. But we'll start off with Clueless Boomer, who says, "I'm not a sports guy, but really enjoyed Dennis Miller's tenure on Monday Night Football. Hail Mary is denied. Separation of church and state." Thank you, Clueless Boomer. Miles Comer, happy birthday, Christian Bladt. I know it's not a super chat, but Tom Myers, this game is about as much scoring as Melton Bedabbler WATP fans in Atlantic City last night. I've heard nothing about Atlantic City last night. Once it turned out that John wasn't going to be there, I absolutely lost all interest. And by the way, Bo Broland, in honor of one of the most boring Super Bowls, as the appropriate podcast do, I believe he's talking about me and Eric Zane. We had an appearance from the great Carl Hamburger, HAMBURGER. Hit the like button, even though you bet the over like an idiot. You see, I was asking everybody, should I bet the under? But I did not. At no point did I get any good advice, so I kept my money. Hamilton Burger, Hamburger. I'm Christian Bladt, and I'm a swarthier homosexual than Bad Bunny. That is not going to be our high dollar amount because it's a milestone chat, but thank you for using it on us. Labyrinth Mystic, don't feel bad, Blatt. I've super chatted Tuki 3 times for an answer on what hard to bet on craps, and he got distracted and didn't answer each time. That sounds about right. My buddy Raging Rhino saying you'd have to rig me up like Malcolm McDowell in A Clockwork Orange to get me to watch Bad Bunny. How was it? Did anybody watch Bad Bunny? And while we were in one window, I was really focused on this. I did not get a look, but hey, super chat me your thoughts on Bad Bunny or Kid Rock. That would be fine. Tom Meyer said Bad Bunny and Husey are a lot alike in that people say they can't understand a single word they say. I don't know why he's talking about Husey. Would have been great to have had him on the show, but I know he goes to bed early there. Metal Horror Madman. Great to see him. Look for Metal Horror Madman next week on the greatest podcast that I've ever produced. The best podcast without me on it. 100 songs that define heavy metal. Great to see you, Metal Horror Madman. Stuttering John drinks a 12-pack during halftime. Over, under. I think we're going to have to wait to find out on that, but I am going to say over. Probably 14. And Hamilton Burger. I heard Kiki's bunghole open for Green Day. That sounds about right. From earlier in the live stream, Silent Shape was starting to think that perhaps we were being less than genuine. And what are the chances that Dennis Miller ends up being the potato? Nope. We had the potato and Dennis Miller. Again, I don't know why people are talking about Husey, but Labyrinth Mystic says, did Husey lose a bet? That's why you keep referring to him as Zane. I'm not following this, but thanks for the $5. Happy birthday, Christian. See you at Hackamania. I'm picking the Seahawks. That seems like the way to do it now. Labramystic, did you buy your tickets already for Hackamania? I know a promo code that I'll tell you about in a little bit. My buddy Count Eric Cotter was Green Day, the inspiration for the Dookies. Cremano Goes Wild. This is a bit of a somber one. 50 is halfway to the end zone. Oh, you think so? Skål! We appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I thought I was going to get on to the next one. Oh, poor Hackride. Hackride saw that we were on with Dennis Miller. My friend Hackride was on with Dennis, saw that we were on with Dennis Miller, and he wanted to get a joke from Dennis. And if he were here, he would have done that, but obviously that was recorded on Wednesday. I'm going to do my best to give the approximation so that I can keep your $2, Hackride. That game was so low scoring, it looked like two conservative Presbyterian accountants trying to decide who pays for the decaf at the end of the night. Okay, I don't know if that one's great. That was all right. I'll take all notes on that. I got one more. The scoreboard was working harder than a Kennedy trying to remember where he parked the car Friday night. All right, that's all I got for you, Hackride. You only gave me $2. $10, I probably would have written some better ones. Yeah, so this is the moment where Hackride remembered that this was taped. Tom Myers is being really unkind. What lasted longer? Dennis Miller on Monday Night Football, he was on for 2 years, or the Melton, Tookie, Carl Rain, and AC? I mean, they weren't doing live shows. They were just hanging out. It looks like everybody had fun. So we appreciate that. Back to the Super Chats. Hellraiser 69. Happy 50th, Christian, you old fart. Yeah, that's accurate. So Hamilton Berger says, which of the various kickers will win MVP? It's still 12-0, right? So I think there's only really one way it could go. And Sengler, C.E. Engler, you had Husey, so you only get 2. I'm sorry, I'm just at a loss why people are talking about Husey, because me and Eric Zane, we had a lot of fun talking to Dennis Miller. We got to look at some clips. Hamilton Berger, why the NFL eliminated all the fun teams escapes me. Yeah, I mean, there were some more teams, some more fun teams. I was wondering about this. Again, Tom Myers, what bombed more, Turning Point USA's halftime show or Ray DeVito's show in last night? Somebody did send me a YouTube clip of rock bottom Ray DeVito in Atlantic City last night. If you're finding this game too exciting, go ahead and check out Ray's set. That's probably the thing to do. And thank the Leo with boom. Always appreciated. And that's all of our super chats. So it looks like I'll be getting to head down at least for the fourth quarter. There's 4.5 left in the third. Still 12-0. I've had a great time hanging out with everybody in the chat. I had fun watching back some videos from way back a couple days ago. And I don't know, King of the Dabbleverse. I don't know if we want to deport Tom Myers. And again, I didn't watch it, but we're seeing that halftime worst ever, Puerto Rico, what's America? So we appreciate all these things. And am I stalling? Because I want to see if there's any chance that we get any more super chats. Yes, I am. Am I ashamed to admit that? No, I am not. It is indeed my 50th birthday. I've got a lot of family downstairs, as I mentioned earlier. And oh my gosh, there's a reason why I kept going. No, it's not silent talking. Last NFL champion game shut was 1964 before the Super Bowl era. No, it was this one. Fader Dragon with $50. For that, I'm going to give you a skål. Happy birthday, Christian. So glad this show isn't on Super Tip because I know Google really needs a fat portion of this donation. Yeah, we don't get a lot of those. But Fader Dragon, you're making me wish that months ago I had reached out to Moody and Melton and really just, and honestly, I don't even need to do that. I just need to ask Carl because this channel is set up for super chats, super tips. The problem is I will have to relearn how I share clips on Who Are These Broadcasters, which, by the way, Who Are These Broadcasters? You should check out our show at the regular time, which is Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. If you enjoyed this show or not, we'll always be there. We'll be there again. And well, look, Tom Myers says happy birthday and say hi to EZ for me. And Hamilton Burger came back around and said, fine, you greedy Gus. Happy 50th Methuselah. And we appreciate all the well wishes. But you know what would be funny? So take a look. Fader Dragon gave $50 before. You know what would be funny? If there's still more than 100 people watching right now. If you all gave $50, I think we'd have a good laugh about that. Don't you think? I think it would be really fun. We'll settle for $5, really anything, but that's fine. Anyway, I do appreciate everybody who's donated during the show. I also, no, that's not what I meant to share. Thanks again to Jackie, who gave me so many jokes last year. I had a couple left. And no, Hamilton Burger, you did your part. You gave us a couple bucks. That's fine. We appreciate all those things. So what I want to make sure everybody knows is that this is a great opportunity right now. The game is not that interesting. Go ahead and go to hackamania.com and get tickets for Hackamania 3, Hack to the Future, April 10th to the 12th in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. And if you use the promo code BEARS, not only will you save 10%, you will also get the opportunity to maybe see the great Eric Zane there. So that is why we use that. And as I said, we will be back on Tuesday at our regular spot with plenty of clips. And Kyle says Christian and Dennis rule. I like that. See, that's a free one. Oh, Kyle, you're kicking a man while he's down. Just wait till Tuesday when he tells you why he may or may not have been available for the whole show. And we'll see if Kyle feels bad. But I know Kyle pretty well. I don't think he's going to feel too upset about it. But we appreciate that. And we appreciate really everybody who is hanging out in the chat. And I read this one a while ago. I still don't understand all the talk about Husey. Now, the reason I'm doing that is I got to make sure I get back to this one because that is our show. Thank you so much to Dennis Miller, Jackie the Joke Man Martling, Tuki, Cardiff Electric. Everybody's talking about Husey, so I might as well thank him. And of course, the great Eric Zane. As I mentioned, we will be back at our regular day and time, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, on the Who Are These Podcasts YouTube channel. That is all the time we have for now. 3:34 in the third, and still 12-0 Seahawks. So I should really go another hour, but don't worry, I won't. That's all the time we have for now. As always, this is Christian Bladt reminding you that every mic is a hot mic. And happy birthday, Christian. So glad this show isn't on Super Tip because I know Google really needs a fat portion of this donation. Yeah, that one really does hurt, Fader Dragon. Enjoy the fourth quarter. Maybe something crazy is going to happen. See you next Tuesday, everybody.